Now we move on to Sony PlayStation 1. Action replay. PlayStation. Game Shark. PlayStation. Resident Evil. Long box. The original Resident Evil. And Resident Evil Director's Cut. Resident Evil Survivor. Resident Evil Survivor for the European PAL PS2. You see the PAL here. This one uses a light gun. The American one doesn't. Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. Dino Crisis. Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider 2. Tomb Raider 3. Tomb Raider 4 Last Revelation. Metal Gear Solid. Fade to Black, also known as Flashback: The Quest for Identity Part 2. Nightmare Creatures. Nightmare Creatures 2. Die Hard Trilogy. Twisted Metal. Duke Nukem Time to Kill. Alien Trilogy. Soviet Strike. Nuclear Strike. Loaded. Long box. Reloaded. Loaded Part 2. Tekken. Long box. Tekken 2. Tekken 3. Need for Speed. Long box. Ridge Racer. Long box. Extreme, aka also known as ESPN Extreme Games Part 2. Road Rash. Road Rash 3D. Road Rash Jailbreak. Destruction Derby 2. Driver, You Are the Wheelman. Driver 2, The Wheelman is Back. Mortal Kombat Trilogy. Mortal Kombat 4. King of Fighters 99. Battle Arena Toshinden. Contender 2. WCW versus the World. WCW Mayhem. WWF Warzone. MTV Celebrity Deathmatch. Spawn the Eternal. Fighting Force 2. Castlevania Chronicles. Skeleton Warriors. Longbows. The X-Files. Monopoly. Now we move on to Nintendo 64. We got brand new Game Shark Pro. Resident Evil 2. Doom 64. Perfect Dark. The unofficial sequel to 007. As far as gameplay goes. GoldenEye 007 64. Turok Dinosaur Hunter 64. Turok 2 Seeds of Evil. Turok 3 Shadow of Oblivion. Turok Rage Wars, aka Turok 3.5. Mortal Kombat Trilogy. Mortal Kombat 4. Killer Instinct Gold, aka also known as Killer Instinct Part 2. War Gods. Bio Freaks. Clay Fighter 63 1/3, aka Clay Fighter 3. Fighter's Destiny. WCW NWO World Tour. WCW vs NWO World Tour Part 2. Revenge. WCW Mayhem. WCW Backstage Assault. WrestleMania 2000. WWF No Mercy. Castlevania 64. Castlevania 64 Part 2. Legacy of Darkness. Nightmare Creatures. Indiana Jones and the Infernal Machine. Body Harvest, also known as the prelude to Grand Theft Auto 3. The Engine. Super Mario 64. Paper Mario. Scooby-Dooby-Doo Classic Creep Capers. Banjo-Kazooie. Donkey Kong 64. Mario Kart 64. Road Rash 64. Cruising Kings. Cruising USA. Ooh, ah, ooh, ah. Cruising World. Cruising Exotica, man. F-Zero X. Monster Truck Madness 64. Featuring the WCW Monster Trucks. Star Wars Racer. Wipeout 64. Aero Fighters Assault. Star Fox 64. Asteroid 64. Nuclear Strike 64. On to Dreamcast. Code Breakers. Let's look at Dreamcast. Dreamcast. Game Shark. My very first Dreamcast game. Code Veronica. Still own it. Resident Evil 3. Carrier, aka Resident Evil ripoff. Dino Crisis. Tomb Raider 4. The Last Revelation. Tomb Raider 5. Chronicles. High Resolution Metal Gear Solid. Bleamcast. See if you can tell the difference. PlayStation, blocky. Bleamcast, HD. D2. Spawn, battle game. In the Demon's Hand. It's a fun game. Air Force Delta. I beat that. The House of the Dead, Part 2. Dynamite Cop, also known as Die Hard Arcade Part 2. Revenge of the Zombie, aka House of the Dead 2.5. Shenmue. Great game. Street Fighter 3 Double Impact, which includes Street Fighter 3 The New Generation and Street Fighter 3 Second Impact. Not to be confused with Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. Street Fighter Alpha 3. Marvel vs. Capcom Clash of the Superheroes. Marvel vs. Capcom 2. New Age of Superheroes. Capcom vs. SNK. King of Fighters 99. Evolution. Fatal Fury. Mark of Wolves. Also known as Garu. Mark of Wolves. Tekken 3. Bleamcast. See the difference? PlayStation's all blocky. Bleamcast is high definition. Virtual Fighter 3. Plasma Sword. Nightmare of Bilstein. WWF. Royal Rumble. NFL Blitz 2000 Mile Dagger. NFL Blitz 2001 Mile Dagger. NFL 2K. NFL 2K1. Bass Fishing. Namco Museum. Atari Anniversary Collect Edition. On to Nintendo Gamecube. Action Replay. Game Boy Player. Game Boy Advance Player. Game Boy Color Player. Resident Evil 0. Resident Evil Part 1. Also known as Resident Evil Remake. Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil 3. Resident Evil Code Veronica X. Resident Evil 4. Tomb Raider Legend. Turok Evolution. Metal Gear Solid: The Twin Snakes. Metal Gear Solid: Twin Snakes, also known as Metal Gear Solid Part 1, the remake. Super Mario Sunshine. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Heroes in a Half Shell. Turtle Power. Pitfall: The Lost Expedition. Mario Kart Double Dash. Capcom vs. SNK 2 Easy Operation. Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance with exclusive characters. NFL Blitz 2002.